The third episode of What If Season 3 takes us into a reality where two iconic characters, Red Guardian and Bucky Barnes, collide in an alternate version of events from Captain America Civil War. Instead of following the familiar story we know, this timeline shows how a small change, Red Guardian stepping in, altered the course of history. The episode kicks off with an almost identical scene to Captain America Civil War, showing the tragic moment when the Winter Soldier assassinates Howard and Maria Stark. In the original movie, this act sets off the main conflict of the film, but in this alternate reality, something is very different. Bucky Barnes, instead of being the sole operative on the mission, finds himself in direct conflict with another super soldier, Alexei Shostakov, the Red Guardian. This scene is crucial because it immediately shows that while the event may seem familiar on the surface, the key players have shifted, and with that shift comes a series of unexpected consequences. The central question becomes, how did we end up here? In this version of the timeline, Dreykov, the leader of the Red Room, wants to send Red Guardian to Ohio to work as a data analyst. It's a role that Alexei finds beneath him. He's been a hero in Russia, a powerful super soldier, and he feels the sting of being relegated to a desk job. He wants more. He wants to prove that he's still valuable and capable of being a field agent, especially as the Red Room increasingly relies on Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, to handle its covert operations. This setup paints Red Guardian as a character struggling with his role in the world, feeling overlooked and wanting to regain his glory. It's an interesting dynamic, especially when compared to Bucky, who has his own identity struggles, haunted by his past actions as an assassin. Both characters are complex in this story, each fighting for a sense of purpose. We see both Red Guardian and the Winter Soldier making their way to America. While Bucky is inserted into the country by his superiors to carry out the assassination of the Starks, Red Guardian is flying economy class. The first major twist happens when Red Guardian, despite being instructed not to interfere, stops Bucky from completing his mission to kill Howard and Maria Stark. This interruption forces both Red Guardian and Bucky to run away from the scene as the police close in on them. But the two of them only have one dose of super soldier serum left. This adds an immediate sense of urgency to their escape. Bucky, who is often seen as a cold, efficient assassin, is now dealing with a moral dilemma. How far is he willing to go to keep the mission intact? With the police on their tail, and with the mission failed, we shift gears to Bill Foster, who heads up S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Science Division. Foster is tasked with investigating the failed mission, and he is joined by Ranger Morales, a no-nonsense agent who quickly becomes an ally. Bill's role in this episode is to act as a counterbalance to the chaotic events, trying to bring some order to the situation while pursuing the two fugitives. Meanwhile, Alexei and Bucky are on the run, having stolen a car to head to Las Vegas, hoping to track down a mysterious figure named Rook, a sleeper agent who may be able to help them escape their predicament. As they travel, Bill Foster catches up with them on the side of the road. He turns into Goliath, a giant version of himself. The fight between him and Red Guardian was fun, showing how strong and skilled both characters are. Despite Goliath's size and power, Red Guardian manages to defeat him, proving that even when outsized, he's still a tough opponent. The story takes another sharp turn when Alexei and Bucky find Rook, only to discover that Rook is none other than Obadiah Stane. In a shocking twist, it's revealed that Stane didn't leak the information to the Russians out of loyalty to them. Instead, he wanted Howard Stark dead because he was driven by personal ambition. This shows that not all villains act out of understandable motives. Some are simply driven by greed and a desire for power. A confrontation between the three ensues, culminating in Bucky throwing Stane to his death. This is a moment of relief for Bucky, who has spent years being manipulated by others. Throwing Stane off the building symbolizes Bucky taking back control of his own fate, even if for a brief moment. With the Red Room task force closing in, Alexei and Bucky make their last stand, managing to fend off their pursuers for a while. However, the odds are too great, and they are once again forced to run away. But Bucky's brainwashing is still in effect, and despite his growing bond with Alexei, he is ultimately recaptured. Alexei, on the other hand, manages to escape. This ending sets up a bittersweet conclusion. While Alexei manages to escape and eventually becomes a gym teacher, he is later recruited by Bill Foster to join S.H.I.E.L.D. His new role brings him into teaming up with the original Avengers, where he participates in the Battle of New York. The ultimate twist of the episode is that by preventing the deaths of Howard and Maria Stark, Red Guardian and Bucky inadvertently change the entire course of history. Civil War as we know it never happens. The events that lead to the Avengers to split up are erased, leaving the world in a very different place. In the end, Bucky is still under the control of the Red Room, but there's hope. His bond with Alexei might be the key to breaking free from his brainwashing, offering a glimmer of redemption for the tortured character. This episode of What If shows how one small change, Red Guardian stopping the Starks assassination, can completely change history. It's full of action, emotion, and exciting adventures, bringing two unlikely characters together. The story looks at themes like identity, friendship, and redemption, showing that even in a world of super soldiers and spies, the strongest thing can be the bond between people. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.